Hello and welcome everyone to Shifting Lanes Garage, aka the brand new Shift Talk. That's SHIFT, just in case any algo bots are in there listening. It is not a bad word. We are shifting lanes.
Shift, like a gear stick.
Gosh, now it's like, what is it like? What the hell's that old song? Not old, well, comparatively speaking.
Old compared to
but it's
Gen Z,
like a
sure.
G6 or whatever the hell is in the chorus.
Oh yeah, like a G6, yeah.
So,
It's literally, the song is literally like a G6 by, oh god, I'm gonna forget. I don't remember.
Not important at all.
Popping bottles in the ice like a blizzard. That's all the lyrics I remember in that song, and I think it's the first sentence. But yes, Shift Talk with an F. That's right.
Yes.
Just like our Facebook group, Shift Talking.
Wonder why it took us so damn long to like put like that together. But at any rate, I am working on actual. Hopefully, in the next week or so, I will have graphics to accompany that. So
hell yes,
things that are really unimportant at the end of the day to the show itself, that make me happy. But at any rate, my name is Chad. With me is Grayson.
Oh no, you remembered. I hate that so much.
I had actually forgotten, but I never changed the graphics, so it's
it's still there.
So
well,
it's like, oh
shit.
It's like, ooh, jokes from previous weeks that I remember.
Oh well, it's a thing now. Great.
How to make Gregson whiter.
Yes, at a Y.
All right, what's up? What's going on, Sean? Greg, before we get into our topics du jour, how are you doing, buddy?
I am good. Nothing else is really new. It's been a week. I've had literally zero time to do anything. But that hopefully will change as of now, since I'm able to stream. I'm here, I'm present, locked in. We're going to talk some fun stuff. Cars are good. News is good. News is crazy. And if we can get some confirmed sources, tomorrow's newsreel is going to be El Spicerino. So that's going to be, if you are watching this, definitely stick around for that tomorrow, maybe in the late afternoon, early evening time frame, because it might be a crazy one.
Could be. It's definitely. I mean, we have just so far, not to sound, but so far we've only gotten a headline come across the news desk.
Yeah. News desk.
So like, there's not there. Let me put it this way: there's no meat to the particular story yet. But the headline is a doozy.
That's right.
One I did not see coming.
Same G's. But we'll see if it's real as of tomorrow morning, because as of right now, it's just a headline. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I will say that. I will say this. It's from a reputable source. It's just not something I want to run with without. I don't want to put out into the world and be that. Breaking news! Chevy has confirmed the return of the Camaro.
Right. The return of the Nova. Also,
the Camaro, the Nova, the Chevelle, all coming back, all with LS power.
Sunday.
Right.
But anyway, we do have actual confirmed news to talk about. One of which you made a reel on the other day. But we'll go with that. But otherwise, I'm good. Nothing crazy. How about yourself?
Oh, nothing major. Just finally in the. God damn it! Still there. Still in. We've transitioned into the now. What's the best way to describe it? Phase of moving, but basically it's happening in the next hopefully 30 to 60 days.
Wow, that's huge.
Hopefully. So like now it's like,
Hopefully.
well, shit. I had months to do this stuff and I haven't even touched the attic. I wish there was a hole
Yeah.
in the attic and a dumpster underneath it, and because 80-90%
Yep.
is getting tossed. But other than that, you know, just normal everyday adult crap that's boring. Let's see here. Sean goes, are y'all
Well,
covered in a sheet of ice? Some things are, some things are not.
mostly snow.
It's mostly snow. I have to figure out. I have to figure out how to get up to my gutters. Just because we have some fairly massive icicles overhanging my deck, and unlike most decks, my deck is plywood with fiberglass over it. So if a massive ice stalactite falls on it, I don't want to deal with that damage,
Not
especially
good.
trying to sell. And Sean, we can talk after the show. There's ice there, and then there's ice doing the same thing directly in front of my front door.
Yeah, not
Ironically,
not
the place
ideal.
where icicles usually form, which is off the deck overhanging the garage, there aren't any. Like, it's weird. But yeah, it's mostly just snow at this point. I was expecting the landscaping crews that that do the snow removal here.
Yeah.
Every other snowstorm we've had with this company, they've at least done a small amount of snow removal in front of or around the cars. Not necessarily digging the whole car out, but like leaving maybe like a half a shovel's width of snow left, as opposed to what I ended up having to shovel out today. Probably 2 or 3 cubic yards of snow,
Jeez.
which is annoying, which I understand is sort of a white collar issue to have. But on the flip side, our HOA fees seem to be going up at a rate that is like higher than inflation at the moment. Because the way they classify snow events is with the snow event we just had. At any rate, it annoyed the crap out of me, and we're not here to do that. We have the one, the only, the Tony of True Data fame in
What's up,
chat.
the
Tony,
Tony?
how you doing, my brother?
What's up? What's up?
Sean goes, my farm is covered with a 5-inch sheet of ice. Sounds like you should start a hockey team.
Yes. The fighting 940s is what Sean will call them. But also 5 inches of ice is like
That is
more than
way
most
above
lakes.
average amounts of ice.
Yeah, it's like more than most lakes get. Like that's insane. I do also expect a visual on this 5 inches of ice.
Ice.
To
Of the ice.
yes,
I mean, actually,
the
if
nice
you wanna
the nice good amount of ice, the perfectly acceptable normal amount size of ice that you were talking about. I want confirmation with a ruler on that size of ice. Thank you.
God, you sound like my girlfriend. And Tony has switched over to YouTube, just bumping all the algos. Love you, buddy.
Love
And I guess this is. I'll cut a block with my hatchet later and send y'all a picture. That might be one of the most Sean sentences to have ever existed.
Correct.
But speaking of Tony, as many of you know, when we had him on the show, he was affectionately referred to as Two Porsche Tony. I think he's down to 1 Porsche. However, today's news is in fact Volkswagen, no, Porsche related. So,
Same thing. Same.
obviously, Nurburgring lap records are something of a thing, right? Like, just look at the buzz the Mustang GTD and then the Corvettes got when they did the Nurburgring laps, let alone everybody else, including Porsche, who basically just live at the Nurburgring.
Pretty much. It is their backyard.
So the headline to this is that the brand new Porsche 911 GT3 just did a lap of 6 minutes, 56.294 seconds around the 20.8 kilometer loop to become the fastest manual transmission car to ever lap the Nurburgring. That in and of itself is a doozy of a headline. And when I made the reel on this, it was actually really hard to like cram in. Like, it's like everything about this story is, I don't want to say clickbaity, but legit baity, right? Like, new Nürburgring lap record. Porsche sets record with manual transmission. Porsche brand new 911 GT3 with a manual transmission is in fact 3.5 seconds around the Nürburgring faster than the previous generation 911 GT3 with a PDK.
Which is insane.
Like all of that, like that last bit is the truly insane part. Like you found, and I don't know what the previous generation manual did, but I got to imagine they probably found 10 seconds in the car, maybe 8 to 10 seconds in the car, especially around a track as long as the Nürburgring.
Which is an eternity, by the way.
Which is a metric fuck ton of time to find in a road car.
Correct.
Like, just an absolute insane amount of and I want to say that's an absolutely just insane. Like, and it's not like it's a brand new 911. It's not like it's a brand new platform. Any of that. Yes, it's a new 911. Yes, it takes the lessons from the previous generations and applies it to the new car, which is why it's so much faster. But you have like little things here and there. You have the fact that I think it's the gear ratios are 8% shorter. So quicker acceleration and miles per gallon be damned. But if you're buying a GT3, I mean, are we really caring all that much about Ultimate MPG? We're not. At least I'm not. I'm buying it because of the noise and because it looks fucking badass.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I didn't even think of this when I was making the reel. But I thought about it earlier today, and I sort of put it in like the description and stuff. But the record it beat was held by the last generation Viper ACR, which tells you just how many manuals are going to the Nürburgring, or just where the speed, where we're sort of cutting off manuals, speed-wise. And now the Viper did it on the shorter version of the Nürburgring, but the Porsche engineers estimated that the 701 on the shorter was like a 705 on the full route. And let's face it, they're Porsche engineers, so they probably got the math right. Just gonna guess on that one. But it's like, and they shaved 9.5 seconds off of that, which is crazy because
that's insane.
Like among all of the things, we all know that we saw all those articles about the Viper ACR when it was like new and fresh and everything, and how like not only towing it, because obviously towing reduces miles per gallon, but it created so much downforce that the drag it created from towing hurt the miles per gallon even more when towing. Like that's how much downforce it has. It literally has an engine that is more than twice the size of the Porsche engine. So it's an insane piece of kit. And like, I know everybody sits here and thinks of, American sports car, big lump of an engine up front. That was a serious fucking car.
The ACR is it at one point held like over 30 or 40 lap records because they literally took it everywhere and decided to just decimate every lap record at every track with the production car. And it is one of the all-time greatest American sports cars. It's one of the all-time greatest manual sports cars ever, because of what it can do. And like, as we all know from Le Mans, and I forget the class, you'll know the class, but back in the late 90s, the class that it was in, like it was a total shit kicker. Like it would come in and just brutalize like everyone, because it was, and no one thought it would, because it's like, oh, it's a huge Viper, and like everyone's like, oh shit, these are fast. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was such a good car and so fast that even being run by a French team, it managed to win.
Case in point.
And because my brain will not let this go and move on, it was originally, without getting too much into the minutia, we all remember the GT1 heyday, where basically they were race cars that like one or two versions got made for the street. That's like the McLaren F1 was one of the original versions, and it had the by far the most production run. But you had stuff like the Porsche 911 GT1, a mid-engine variant that only like two or three were ever made. There was a Mercedes. That was GT1. When they realized that that was becoming too much of a, all right, they're just slapping an interior into a race car and calling it a day. This isn't what we intended for the class. They moved that to GTLM, and then GT1 became for just big engine, big power sports cars. Enter the Dodge Viper, the C5 Corvette with the 427 cubic inch engine, 911 turbos or GT2s with had the turbocharged engines and stuff. God, the late 90s and early 2000s were such a great time for fucking sports cars.
We were so
We are
spoiled.
in a really good era now, but like, yeah, the GT cars are only making 500 to 550 horsepower. They were making significantly more back then. And then the Vipers in this new GT1 or GTS class, as it later would become, they dominated everywhere. Probably the most people know how it did at Le Mans. Most people know that in the year 2000. In the year 2000.
I was literally going to do it if you didn't. It's the first thing that popped into my head.
A lot of people know that famously a Viper, which is a GT car, won overall at the 24 Hours of Daytona. The following year, Corvette did the trick too. But arguably its most impressive run was at the Nurburgring in VLN and the Nurburgring 24 Hour with Zach Speed. They won, they were dominant, they were fast, they just kept getting nerf after nerf after nerf. And it's actually a beautiful story of how Zach Speed kept just like, nope, we're not changing cars. We're going to creatively find ways to get around the rules. Like a quick change gas tank. Because the rules...
Not a quick change gas fueler, a quick change tank.
Oh, the stories of Zach Speed around at Nürburgring and trying to get
crazy.
around the rules, continuously nerfing them, is one of the all-time motorsports stories like ever, because it is so epic. And I promise we're going to get back to Porsche because I do want to get Greg's opinion on that. But since we've unlocked this achievement, another thing they did was in the rules. See, over when it raced in Europe, it raced as a Chrysler Viper. Why? I have no idea. But that's what its official designation was. And all of the BOP stuff was applied to the Chrysler Viper.
Mm-hmm.
So, one year they entered their Chrysler Viper with all the stuff in the rules being very, here you go, we're following your rules, go away. And then they entered another car with basically, without, I don't know how to explain it, but effectively it was an American car. So like it was an American Le Mans car or something that they brought over. And over here, it was called the Dodge Viper. So this was the Dodge Viper, and they just let it run to whatever the rules said it did, or it had to run. Not the BOP, but what the base rules of the class were. So if you're running an engine over a certain displacement, you can't have a bigger, air intake than X or whatever, right? And they go, and like the rules guy, and they got it on the entry list. They go around, they're obviously wicked fast, and the organizers are like, wait a minute. And obviously put an end to it. And then lastly...
Damn.
Gotta hand it to them.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the last hurrah for this car was they were like, they kept nerf. I cannot stress this enough. And it was still good. The last one is like they just said, fuck it. Engines can't exceed a certain size. And they're like, haha, deal with that, Viper. And Zach Speed's like, okay, we're going to send the engines off to, I forget who, off the top of my head. but they literally plugged 2 of the cylinders and brought it back as a V8. And still, in that year's race, they didn't win. I think they finished 3rd overall, but they set the fastest lap of the race.
That's insane. It's like,
it's literally the Black Knight, it's literally the Black Knight from the Monty Python Holy Grail movie.
Oh, 100%. You see him chopping off limbs, and it's like, I'm just gonna keep going. Oh my god, that's such a crazy story. Is there a documentary on that yet, or?
I don't know if there's necessarily a documentary. YouTubers have told this story, and I have to go back and find the really good one that sort of dials it all out. Because a couple mention these things kind of in passing, kind of like what we did, and others go into like the real details and minutia of it, like, which is pretty cool. But like, I think it's Zach Speed. Let me just double check that. Speed. Yep, Zach Speed. Zakspeed. At any rate, David goes, it's only a flesh wound. David also, welcome our friend. And he'd like to point out to all of us who are freezing our you-know-what's off, it's 100 in Melbourne.
Well, that's lovely. Good for you. And also, British workers salute.
Snail. At any rate, like, we got on this tangent, this beautiful, wonderful, voluptuous tangent.
Yes.
Because we were talking about the Nurburgring. Yes. And we were talking about how the new 911 GT3 is faster around the ring with a manual gearbox. It is the fastest car to ever lap the Nurburgring with a manual gearbox, production car. And it got me thinking. Like today, I was like, you know what? As far as enthusiasts are concerned, it's all well and good to see what like the AMG 1 is doing, or what pick an electric supercar that's here today, gone tomorrow, and may or may not reach production with the level of performance it actually displays at the ring. Regardless, I would argue that the record, this record, the manual gearbox record around the Nürburgring, is arguably the most important record at the ring as it pertains to enthusiasts. Now, we have some people in chat who are, we'll just say, well, we'll start with this. Greg, the car behind Greg only has 2 pedals. I know there's some people in chat here who may or may not, prefer the 2-pedal life. Would you say, Greg, that the overall lap time that the Mercedes AMG 1 has is the most important, or this manual one, as it pertains to enthusiasts?
So if I'm just going by those two, I think the manual for sure. The AMG 1 is impressive. It is, it's pushing the technology. It's pushing the boundary of like what a road car can do, right? Road cars have never been closer to being actual race cars than they are today. However,
I would argue their performance envelope is greater than modern race cars, but continue.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like most, I mean, they a lot of road cars would outperform a lot of race cars right now, for sure. However, not like us mere mortals are going to be touching a Viper ACR on the Nürburgring or the new 911 GT3 on the Nürburgring anytime soon, if ever. However, we still can go out and buy a manual car like a Miata, like a BRZ, low-level entry level things, and get a manual still, right? And you can still live that manual dream, and you can still buy old cars, that have manuals, and you can still have that connection to that record, because at the end of the day, it's still something that you're doing with all four of your appendages. You're driving with both hands. Sometimes you're shifting with one. You are controlling the car with both of your feet. That is something you can do in a Porsche 911 GT3. That is something you can do in a Mazda Miata. The AMG 1 is not something that you can replicate the same way on the street, the same way that you can with a manual in any guise. I say so. To me, that 100% is more important because you can buy a fast car, you can buy a just throwing it out there because Chad's gonna make a face. You can buy an automatic Mustang and you can be fast. You can be quick, but you cannot get an automatic Mustang anywhere close to an AMG 1. You can have even just an inkling of that GT3 manual in a Mazda Miata because of how it operates. So to me, as an enthusiast, and this is a long-winded way of saying this, I think it is very much the most important Nurburgring time. And I would argue it's the most important Nurburgring time, period, not just for enthusiasts, because it is that last bastion of driving enthusiasm that's sort of anywhere near a bit analog. It's more about, yes, there's so much going on in the car that the car is helping you with in this new 911 GT3, but it still has that one thing that's not perfect. And that usually is a PDK or a flappy paddle or, automatic or whatever it may be, right? Like, you don't have to think about that one thing. This is something you do have to think about and do. So in my opinion, it's the most important Nurburgring lap time period, because it's got that one extra thing that you have to still do and think about, and still be able to do the lap. You don't have to this is very easy to do comparatively. Muted.
You're muted.
Please no ban. Please no ban.
No, I mean, let me put it to you this way. You can go and you can, like you said, it doesn't matter what you drive. If you have a manual, there's a connection to that record, right? But how do I put this? We've known for years, decades even, that manual transmissions are in fact slower than automatics, whether it be straight line, whether it be a dual clutch, people are even starting to use the 8HP as a performance road course transmission. That's a transmission used by BMW and Mopar with the Hellcats. In other places, but that's where it's most famous, I should say. To such a degree that I saw a video a while back where someone had a turbocharged K24 in a NA Miata with an 8HP, and it was a time attack car. That should tell you just how far automatics have come. Like a torque converter automatic.
True.
To where that shift time and that response time to you pulling a paddle and it doing what you're telling it to do.
Yeah.
That's been the thing with me for so long with these, is the pull the paddle, then it shifts. I can't get behind that. I don't care how good the rest of the car is. If there's that delay, it ruins the experience. But now we're getting close to it. But there's always been the thing with enthusiasts to the point where we know the manual is not the fastest option. We know but we appreciate the fact that there's a skill to it. And there's a connection regardless of what the car is. Okay, if you're driving a rock crawler or an SUV that has a manual box, you're not going to get the same Porsche GT vibes rolling your own gears in it. But you can get a similar vibe in a Mustang, like you said, in a Miata. And, not for nothing, But speed doesn't become the all-encompassing thing. What does become the thing is when you're having a little bit of fun, it's that downshift and rev match. It's the perfect upshift. It's the what have you, to where you're not focused on outright speed, but you're focused on the fun of it. And to that end, Jörg Bergmeister, the man who actually did the lap, which, hat tip to him, sub 7-minute lap at the Nurburgring while rowing your own gears.
Yeah.
Like, one mistake.
Cool.
Right?
And
So, even he said, he knows that the PDK version is going to be faster. He's curious to see how much faster it is than the previous generation. But he flat out said the manual was way more fun.
Yeah. And I think that's just always gonna be the case. You can have fun in paddle shifting cars. You can have fun in automatics. There's ways to do it. You're not gonna have. There is no more fun than you can have than in a manual car, like just period.
Right, and the fact that there's, like you said, quote unquote, more to do means everything else happens faster. Not literally in time, but in what you have to do. Right, like say you just pick something and you have 10 seconds, and all you have to do is pick up the remote to your TV. Feels like an eternity. Well, now you have to pick up the remote, turn the TV on, get to the channel, make sure the volume's right, check your phone. Like, now all of a sudden, the more you're cramming into that 10 seconds, it just, everything feels faster.
Yeah.
There's an inappropriate joke to be made here. I'm not sure I found it yet, but we're moving on.
Something about coming faster, going faster. I don't know.
Speed and power makes everything better. We'll just go with that.
Yes.
And like, to kind of put a bow on it, we both kind of agree that this record is more impressive than the outright lap record, which again, there's obviously a gigaton of skill involved for any of these laps. Whether you're in an electric car with no gearbox, or you're in a dual clutch semi race car for the road AMG 1.
Yep.
Or a manual car, right? There's obviously skill in putting the car in the right position, knowing when to brake, knowing how to trail brake, throttle out, all these things that, let's face it, not everyone can do. Unless I'm mistaken, no race car drivers are in chat. Pretty much all of us can't do. We can get close,
yes,
but not at that level.
Yes.
But let's see here. At any rate, why do I have... Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
Chat, what do you think? Is this the most important Nurburgring lap record, period?
I would also argue that it's important because it shows I would argue that it shows off chassis dynamics more than, say, a PDK or dual clutch or insert transmission that does it for you, or you pull a paddle to shift, because you're losing so much time in the shifts. I mean, think about it. I don't know how many shifts. I really wish they had mentioned like how many actual times he changed gear over the course of that lap. And like, and even if it's like 1/10 of a second per shift, that is a ton of time. So the chassis, like again, the chassis dynamics just have to be so good, and this shows it off just all that much more. David goes, it comes down to practice and knowing what your vehicle can do. Oh, absolutely. There's no substitute for seat time. I mean, there's a reason why. How do I put this? There's a reason why if you pluck two people off the street, someone who's only exclusively ever done sim racing with like a proper setup, not just on controller, took them, and some guy who's a halfway decent driver on the street, you plucked them out and put them on a racetrack, the sim driver's probably going to have a pretty significant advantage, just because while it's not a 1-to-1 analog, sim racing's come up pretty dang far away in terms of, you know, track conditions, where the grip is, where the grip isn't, you know,
Yeah.
all that other sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah, it's very true.
David goes, should be able to get the data, shouldn't we, on the actual lap? I mean, um, I'm sure because there's an actual YouTube video of it. I'm sure we could sit there and count it. I don't want to. I might just now because of the in my brain, but there's a way, you know. It's absolutely there to be found.
Yeah.
It's more finding the will, so to speak.
Yeah.
Let's see here. But anything else you want to add on this one, Greg, or did you want to move on to one of your topics?
No, I think that's a pretty good bow on it, honestly. I will say one thing. I think the only thing that I will say that would ever make this more impressive is if what's the overall lap record? I think it's like 6:17 or something. Like it's by the Porsche race car, like a long time ago,
that's under 6 minutes.
Under 6 minutes. The only way a road car like an AMG 1 becomes more impressive than a manual to me is if it beats that.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute 19-second lap.
That's for me. That's the only way. Like I feel, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I mean, we're obviously never going to get there because, well, let's face it, there's pesky things in the real world. Like your bumper has to be a certain height. You know, your headlights have to be in a certain position. The car cannot have excess. The splitter, the dive planes, all that cannot be of a larger than a certain size. You know. And frankly, putting the type, well, I guess you're seeing it with like the Valkyrie and the AMG 1 and stuff. But like all of the safety and all of that stuff, like you could probably work around it. But the safety setup in the 919 Evo is a galactically strong carbon fiber monocoque. That and racing harnesses and a Hans device and a flame retardant suit and a helmet, right? But you're in this protective cell. There's no airbags. There's no, you're about to have an accident, pretensioning of the seatbelts or any of that sort of stuff. So all of that saves weight. Now, and I think the 919 Evo, if I'm not mistaken, is about half the weight of the AMG 1. Let me see here. So
yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, so yeah. So the 919 Evo, just based on a quick Google search, is 1,872 pounds. So literally under a ton. Although I'm guessing with the driver, it's over a ton. And that's its dry weight. I'm not going digging, looking for everything else.
Yeah.
The AMG 1's curb weight is 37 pounds.
Jesus. Okay.
Literally.
Well then.
Like, it's not a fair comparison just because that's the actual curb weight of it, versus a dry weight. But effectively speaking, you can sit here and say, you could sit here and say that the AMG is literally making less power and carrying around 2 919 Evos.
That's crazy.
Like, and obviously, as we know, weight plays a huge factor. Anywho.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy difference in weight. Anyway, yes, moving on. Good job, Porsche, by the way. That is legitimately very cool. And I don't know if it's going to be beaten anytime soon because
I don't know if there's anything else out there with a manual that is as that capable.
that's what I was just going to say. Like, I don't think there's anything that could even come close. So I think that one, that may be an all timer. It may be, unless Porsche beats it again with their own 911 and they keep making the manual. It might be it.
Yeah, I mean,
Could be.
Porsche has broken another Porsche record.
There's a coffee shop actually by us. It's a Sunday Motor Co. And in the bathroom, right above the toilet, there's a "Nobody's Perfect" poster, and it's like the 1983 Le Mans or whatever it was. It's an old Porsche ad. It's the old black and white block lettering Porsche ad, and it's 1 through 10, and 1 through 8 or 7 is Porsche, and then line set like 8 or 9 is BMW, and then under that is 2 more Porsches, and it just says "Nobody's Perfect." And I'm like, what an amazing ad! And I feel like
Porsche advertising back in the day was
so good. Like,
they were like
Porsche,
the original trolls.
Yeah, dude,
like, what's
Porsche
the one?
and Volvo, the 2 best ad agency campaigns ever. They were all both so good. But this whole thing reminds me of just like, it's just going to be that. the manual Porsche, manual Porsche. Then like some random Honda one year, manual Porsche. Like,
I mean, a Honda's going to have to come along.
I don't know. I was just thinking like,
well, it might be that Aston Martin Honda that we were talking about last.
Oh yeah, there you go. Crazy.
I'm just trying to think of the only thing that I think of that might potentially, possibly, even remotely come within a whisper of coming close is, as we all know, Tremec just did that manual version of that rear-mounted transmission that is in the Corvettes, the CA Corvettes.
Yeah.
And the Mustang GTD, which is hysterical to me that they're like, we're now in, it's been like over 10 years, probably closer to 15-ish years, probably more, of Ford and Chevy just quietly using the same transmissions and nobody really talking about it. Because you have it on the Halo cars.
Yeah.
10-speed auto was the same. I think there was some minor gearing changes in the Mustang and the Camaro before it, Camaro'd itself. And then it's the same 10-speed that's in the full-size truck, so the Silverado or the F-150. And it's crazy to me. But Tremec has made a manual version of that. There's some debate on whether or not you could get a manual to work in the C8 Corvette just because of the linkages and how you would have to route it. I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way. And I really hope that that's the transmission that comes in the Grand Sport with the 409 cubic inch pushrod V8.
Yeah.
But a much easier place to put it would be in the Mustang GTD. Imagine people would be lining up. Rich people, obviously.
Very rich people.
Would be lining up to get a manual GTD. And that's the only thing that could potentially come close.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Ford to just show up and be like, yeah, we put a smaller pulley on it and a better tune and see what we can do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or just say fuck it and put like a 3 or a 3.8 liter Whipple on top of it. And like really send it.
That would let's do that. Let's win the lottery and do that.
Right? It's like, here's my Mustang GTD. We're just going to get rid of this and put this on it. But I say all of that. Like, there's just so much that goes into that. And like, let's just say hypothetically, they did that. They upped the boost, but it was E85. Technically, a fuel you can find at some pumps. That would kind of cheapen it for me.
Yeah.
Sean on the advertising thing goes, hell yeah, the Volvo 740 wagon throwing shade at a Porsche and a Lambo. I mean, you have that. My favorite all time is Porsche having the thing, and it's just a 911 there, and it says, because nobody dreams of owning a Nissan or a Mitsubishi.
just everyone catching strays from Porsche in the 70s and 80s. So good. Of course, this is also when they were almost completely bankrupt, so they had to get some like really good advertising going. So understandable, but arguably the golden age of advertising in automotives for sure.
And then we have Sean in chat just going full backyard engineer mode on how to get a manual Corvette. Electromechanical servos is option one. That sends a signal to the gear selection. Feels like it's cheating. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that is cheating. How even simpler, you could use an optical sensor, much like gaming mouse. Build that transmission for Timmy, please. I'd love to see it in action, and I'm not being a jackass.
Please yes, build that.
At any rate, And then we have Wormway over on YouTube who says rear-wheel drive all stuck in the driving in the snow right now. Not true. Not even remote. Like I saw rear-wheel drive cars out on the road today.
Yeah.
At any rate, before we get sidetracked for the 17th time in the last 15 minutes, Greg, more news.
Yes, more news. News, everyone. So, couple of interesting things about trucks. Both of them are about trucks.
Insert Sam Elliott voice here.
Yes. Well, we're going to talk about some trucks. That's my best Sam Elliott. I can't get that low or smoky. He's got the best voice ever.
I need a much bigger mustache to pull that.
I need a much bigger mustache and some much bigger boots for sure. So apparently, we'll start with the Nissan one, and just because this is like so very interesting to me, is Nissan does not have the greatest like reliability thread for Japanese automakers. They are reliable, but specifically the Frontier is apparently one of their better models as far as reliability is concerned. And if anyone has any, data contrary to that, please let me know and drop it in the comments and in chat. But apparently, according to Autoblog and according to Nissan themselves, what they do is they actually run the Frontier's V6 at Redline for 300 hours straight to catch problems early. And it basically is supposed to simulate 130,000 miles of driving in one shot. So 300-hour tests. And this isn't just like stop and go and stop and go. It's literally like, brick, accelerator pedal. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Like it's that sort of thing. Like that's crazy for one. Two, do you know of any other car manufacturers that actually torture test like this? Because I know that there are companies that do certain things that do very high stress scenarios, but I don't think I've ever heard of 300 straight hours at Redline. That seems like nuking the engine. And I'm shocked it actually can take that, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know of anybody just like, sort of putting the brick on the cinder block on the accelerator pedal and coming back in 2 weeks to see if, the engine's still intact or the dyno room is now covered in confetti. But I know some manufacturers do tests where it's, cold start, heat up, straight to Redline, hang there for a few seconds or what have you, drop, normal, and they just go through the rev range. Our Redline, go through another different points of the rev range, all that other stuff. I know they kind of do that just because, not to say that hanging your car engine at Redline, like, the fuel pump must have been screaming for mercy. Like, let me stop.
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm interested in. I wonder how much fuel it actually went through.
I mean, probably quite a goddamn bit.
A lot.
I mean, if it's hanging at redline, because I mean, redline's not the most efficient point of the engine either.
Well, right.
And that sounds obvious from a miles per gallon standpoint, but what I mean is it's also not efficient in terms of how power production.
Right.
Usually your redline your horsepower peaks, and then you get to redline as the power falls off, and depending on how fast it falls off or what have you, redline's picked at a point where one, the engine can handle it, and two, so when you shift, you're in a decent spot in the power range going forward.
Right. So then I guess my question to that is this test really that valid then?
Oh, it's absolutely going to find a weak point on the engine. And I'd be curious to know how many of those engines actually make it to 300 hours.
Yeah.
Is 300 hours that's regardless of what it does, that's the hard cutoff. And no engine has reached it yet. And they're all dying at 70 hours or something. But also there's no point of comparison. So even if they aren't making it to 300, say it's that 70-hour mark, is that good? Is that bad? We don't know, because it's not like anybody else is just sitting here going, we're going to try to melt the exhaust off of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking through it now, but when I was looking through it before, they actually. So what's very impressive with this to me actually is they actually take random engines off of the production line to do this too. This isn't
the only way you could do it and have it be valid, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't. It's not just oh, look, we've built these 20 engines. These are the first ones. We're gonna do this and run this simulation. Well, how do we know that you're not just over engineering the living shit out of them to be able to take this abuse? The fact that they are doing that and taking them off production line to actually have that, that validates it to the nth degree. And that's what I want manufacturers to do if they don't do that already. That's how I wish manufacturers would actually torture test their shit.
I mean, this is definitely a torture test. And then intrusive automotive shift talking moment just entered my brain. Again, that's with an F. Bot overlords. It's also the most JDM thing ever.
Yeah,
let's just put it at redline and leave it. Insert Honda Civic drive-by meme here.
That's super accurate though. It is a very JDM thing. But yeah, I don't know. This also is so this is all from a press release, right? This also is a really good selling point, because now I'm kind of interested in the Nissan Frontier.
Well, that's what cool. We've been saying about Nissan for fucking years now, right?
Right.
It's, if you can't make something interesting, present it in an interesting way.
Right.
So it's
and this is that.
Would we be otherwise talking about a Nissan Frontier? No. Does this make the Nissan, like you said? It's Nissan Frontier. Doesn't have it's a truck, so it doesn't have to be the latest and greatest tech thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool. It's look, Nissan needs to. I don't know how you do more of this, right? It's okay, well, we did that, the engine to redline. Now we're gonna have an entire drive line, and it's welcome to the Nissan Center for Shrapnel Creation. But that's another thing we've constantly talked about Nissan. It's if you can't engineer new stuff, if you're just sort of engineering around the old stuff, what should the old stuff do? Reliable. If you could be dead nuts reliable, which they haven't been, which is it's doubling down on the it's they're not new, and they're not reliable. Oh.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So it's like, I think this is pretty cool. Like, I'd be interested to learn more about like what they really need to do. And I'm not kidding, and I'm not saying this because we're in the content creation space or I'm trying to like force that, or I'm marketing in my day job, blah 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 blah. But they need to make a mini documentary about this testing procedure, about taking a random engine.
Yes.
Because like, I'm trying to think, like, some of the best car YouTube videos on the planet are just torture testing a car. You know, how wrong can this car run without oil? Right? So it's like, how long can this engine last at Redline? Hour 1, 24 sound. Dun dun. It's running fine. Which, to be fair, running at Redline for an hour straight is impressive.
Yeah, correct.
Like, not
300. That's why this number. That's why this sort of stood out to me. It's just like, oh, it could run for like a couple hours. 300 hours. Like, what? That's insane. I gotta wait.
Like, how did they come up with 300 hours? Was it just a random number picked, or it's like,
I don't know, because it's 12 and a half days. Why 12 and a half?
Well, you need half a day for setup and debrief.
No, but it runs at 300 hours that you can set up. You don't need that half a day.
Day one,
yeah.
You set you're probably going to set up for a couple days, but day one, set up, checking make sure all the sensors and data and everything's working as it should. Mm-hmm. And then let's just say at noon, you fire the bitch up, get her warm, and send her to Redline. And then 12 days later, at noon, that engine, hopefully in one piece, is shut down. It's like 300 hours at Redline. I'm just curious. It's like,
it's crazy.
Somebody out there with like a new frontier just going, just keeping it in Redline all the time. I can do this. It's up. I'm at hour 170. I'm fine. You know, like I said, but again, if they were to sit here and say, here's us torture testing a thing and video and document it and do all this other sort of stuff, like, you know, they may not have that whole Genesis is going to Le Mans documentary thing that they have with Magma Racing.
Right.
But that's still a cool thing that people will be interested in. Because everybody understands what hanging a car at Redline is. Everybody kind of gets that. And it's like, wait, they want to do what? I'm going to check in. I'm going to see what this is about. You know, and then you get to talk about the engine. It's like, well, it's pretty simple. It has possibilities are in this. Nissan, call me. I'm probably cheaper than most of your other marketeers out there. So,
yeah.
But I couldn't even tell you what a Frontier looks like, though. What does a 2026 Frontier actually look like?
It's pretty good looking, I'll be honest. I almost prefer it over the Tacoma. I still want the Tacoma more. I think it's better looking. But to me, it's closer than it used to be.
It's actually not a bad looking truck.
No, it's not. And at the end, the V6, it's a 3.8 liter V6. It's not small.
Of course, all of the pictures are fucking potato spec.
Yes.
Open a new tab. Don't mind me, just doing producer things. There. That's what it looks like.
There we go. Behold! The Nissan Frontier.
It's not a bad looking. And Steve goes, I don't know. They use Renault. Like, yeah. They've used Renault for freaking ever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not a bad looking truck, and I'm willing to bet that you could probably get one for a halfway decent deal.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, Greg, are you ready for your solo topic of the day? Okay. If you had unlimited access to a racetrack of your choosing.
Hmm.
And there were no logistics. So like you could just snap your fingers and be at the racetrack.
Okay.
So it's not like, well, I live in New Jersey, so really my options are
Right.
Watkins Glen, Lime Rock,
this
or
is
whatever.
Fantasyland. Yeah. Yeah.
Just magically snap your fingers, you're at the track.
Yeah.
What is that one track? And you only get one car to drive around that track.
Mm.
But you can do it anytime you want, and theoretically speaking. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, Greg, you pick this track. Well, let's go down its schedule. Well, you can't go then. You can't go then. But you get the idea.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. This is
one car,
this is
one track.
Fantasyland.
Whenever you want. What's the track? What's the car?
Ooh, okay. I have one clarifying question before you leave.
8 inches.
Not that question. I didn't need to know how big your exhaust is.
That's only 3. Dual 3, which is awkwarder.
So tiny. Also, mine's smaller. I've lost the question now. Oh, is this a like? Does it have to be a road car, or could I take like a race car? Like, does it have to be something I can drive? Like, because I can't drive a Formula One car. It's not. I don't have training for that. I know this is Fantasyland for car and track, but it's like, is there a parameter of just like?
Are you now just mystically and magically the greatest driver who's ever lived?
Right, exactly.
I would split it into 2.
Okay.
All those parameters with a car, you can. Let's just say hypothetically, for you get track, car at your current skill level.
Yep.
And then track.
If I was a racing driver.
Car. And let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you either can drive an F1 car or whatever, and that you would receive said training to do so. So, like, I'll add the caveat: you are quote unquote capable of driving the Formula One car, but you also have to learn how to drive it at the track that you choose.
Right. Okay. Got it. Okay. Ooh, man, this is a tough one. Damn. Yeah. Shit. Well, okay. So first we got to pick the track. The track has got to be the first thing, because you can have cars that perform well on different tracks, but the track is sort of like the main focus here. Because if you want to take it's got to be like a dream track, right? So like, so many people would pick like Monaco just because of how picturesque it is. So many people would pick like Le Mans for like the crazy fast straights and even like the little technical bits, and it's just the tradition of it. I mean, man, this is such a hard question, but this may be the hardest one Chad's thrown at me. For actually like I literally have no words on this one. He's absolutely stumped me. I will have to say, I will give the 2 answers. For a road going car, I would probably go to Bathurst, just because of it's technical, it's fun, you can get crazy fast at some points, and it'll exploit road cars pretty quickly when they're not doing well, like they're not good cars for this. And if I had to pick a car to do or to take to that track, I would probably want the Aussie experience. So I would probably pick. Well, no, I would say no. I would pick some probably some form of like GT3 car, or like GT3 like homologation sort of like style. Maybe I'll take the manual Porsche GT3. Honestly, the new 911 GT3 manual. around Bathurst, just because I feel like it would be like sort of the ultimate complement of crazy racetrack plus crazy road car, but still manual engaged road car. Like, to me, that would be very cool. And at my current skill level, that's something I could actually like. I wouldn't be able to drive 1010s just because I know my skill level, but I would be able to have a lot of fun doing that. So I'll say that for my first answer. My second answer is probably going to surprise Chad in that sense. I would probably say Indianapolis, the Oval, just because of how much tradition is there, and the history of that race, the legendary status it has, and it's not really understood a lot outside of the US. Yes, it's one of the biggest races in the world, but I would say, like, growing up, that's the race that I was always looking forward to the most. My heroes from the kart days and the champ car days, all back in like the 90s and early 2000s. Like Alan Jr., Rick Mears, those sort of names. And I would probably want to take an old Indy car, like a early 90s era Indy car around that track, just because of how much nostalgia that has for me. To be able to drive like one of those cars at Indianapolis at in anger would be probably one of the coolest things that I would ever do. So that's my answer. And I'm looking down at my phone because I'm going to just check chat to see if there's any answers in there from them on this. But if you guys have any answers on it, let me know, because I think that would be really cool to hear what you guys have to say on it. Let's see. Steve goes, Greg, you're stuck driving a Cobalt SS to these tracks. Don't shit on the Cobalt SS. It's actually not horrible from what I've read. I've never driven it, but it's apparently not a horrific car. Apparently. So, I don't know. I'm back and shockingly the diesel isn't jelling up. Let's see. Excuse me. Anthony, what is up? Good to see you, dude. Man, I haven't seen you in forever. Good to see you, bro. Steve goes Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca is not a bad answer. It is one of those legendary tracks, especially with the corkscrew. It's super technical. There's tons of undulation to it. I would argue that Laguna Seca is the American Bathurst. I don't think it's as long, but just because of it is narrow in parts, it doesn't have like the walls the same way, but it is, the elevation change is like very noticeable when you're gaming on it, when you're watching videos of it, obviously when you're there. Like, it is super technical, and it is the elevation in that sense is very Bathursty in a way. Anthony and Sean, so the question was, if you could have a dream drive of any track on the planet with any road going like car on the planet, what would you do at your current skill level? And if you could do the same thing, but you're also like a race car driver, or you have the ability to be a race car driver and you could drive a race car around a track, what would that look like? So for me, my first one was, new 911 GT3 Porsche with the manual around Bathurst would be really cool. And then Indianapolis in like a 90s era Indy car would also be very cool for me, just because of the nostalgia portion of it for me. I would say probably a very, 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 very close second would be one of Senna's F1 cars at Brands Hatch, just because of the lap of the gods that he did in the rain, and to like just experience the turns that he did. and to just go, just to be part of that scenario in any sense would be one of the coolest things ever. So those are my answers. And now, as always, since the good Chadson has returned, same question to you whilst I vacate the premises. But you also have to do it both ways, the same way I did.
Oh, do it. Of course I
You
do.
have yours for this already.
Yeah, well, so similar to Greg, Bathurst is the first track. Just because of how it mixes literally everything. And it's very similar in the sense to the Nurburgring, in that it's so nuanced. It's obviously not as long, so or what have you, but it's such a nuanced track. You could spend a lifetime learning every little detail about it. And as for the car, at the risk of being entirely too on brand for me, I'm going to take my dream build of my current Mustang. Actually, no, because my dream build for an S550 Mustang starts as a Mach 1. Put the 343 cubic inch version of the Coyote in it, naturally aspirated. Take that manual transmission we were talking about earlier, that rear mounted one, figure out a way to how to mount it in the back, whether it be engineer a new subframe, etc. And have, all the, suspension bits, like the whole nine, the big, meaty, thick tires that I have on it now, and just, dream car, dream track is pretty simple there. As far as, and that's for me as I sit right now. As far as a race car, I would probably lean towards the GT1 GTS era and the Nurburgring, which I understand is kind of cliche. I know it's not, an oval or a high speed or a Brands Hatch like Greg mentioned. But again, it's you have the Nurburgring, which again you could spend a lifetime figuring out. So every lap is different. Ideally, I'd like to do the 24-hour layout. I just like that because it's the 24-hour layout type of a thing. But like, oh no, I only have to drive the Nordschleife. Like, you get it? Like, not that big of a deal. And as for the car, I would love. I'm torn between two vehicles. One we already talked about. And that's the GT1 or the GTS wide body SR2 Viper. Unrestricted. So, in race trim, that thing's making 900 horsepower NA. Or the C6 version of the GTS Corvette. So everybody remembers the C5 version. The ones that sort of launched Corvette in the modern age. The version of that car that the Earnhardts, Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. drove in 2001. But I like the body style of the C6 better, and that was an evolution. So it's technically speaking the better car. And again, unrestricted, because you look at pictures of that thing's engine bay and it is hilarious. 2 intakes, and it's like the intake tubes are like that. It's tiny. They said that engine could knock on the door of like 900 horsepower NA, and it's a 427 cubic inch good old fashioned American V8. So the soundtrack's going to be epic. Torque, all that's like just right there. And again, putting that on something like the Nurburgring where you have lap after lap to sort of get it right. Like we've all done that in like a video game, like Gran Turismo or Forza or pick one, where we've just done one car, one track, and hot lapped lap after lap after lap after lap, trying to find that tenth of a second, that full second, like just getting closer and closer to what we can achieve from a strictly pace perspective. As far as Anthony makes a good point. Watkins Glen with the boot would be really cool to do in a Camel GT, GTP era, like Toyota. The Eagle 2, I think, with the like ridiculous, I forget the engine designation. It's based off of 3S GTE, but the race version had a different designation. I'm not going to waste time looking it up. But like 900 horsepower of 80s turbocharged horsepower. Like, nothing. Armageddon. Shift. Do it all over again. Literally riding the lightning kind of a thing. Would be absolutely epic. Laguna Seca's up there. Laguna Seca is one of those tracks that I love as an American track. But I don't know. I like other American tracks better. I think what suffers at Laguna Seca for me, and it's not necessarily their fault, is that there's no real classic race there. Argument could be made that the Daytona Road Course is a fairly simple racetrack, but it hosts the 24 hours, so it has prestige in the event. Laguna has prestige because it's just a damn good racetrack. The Corkscrew is one of globally the most legendary tracks ever, or corners to ever exist. And it's still hilarious that it was built by sheer happenstance, it was never planned. But like, I think it would also be really, really cool to say chuck one of the old 510 race cars that Paul Newman learned on around Lime Rock. Because Lime Rock, even though for a lot of its life had a left-hand turn, it's just a fun little bull ring. And it's short, so like that you get that almost instant instead of like a 6 or 8 minute, 9 minute lap at the Nurburgring, it's every minute. Oh, did I do better? Did I do worse? Oh, where can I improve? Where can I do this? And it also has a special place because I've driven around that course in some pretty hot machinery. Well, I shouldn't say hot machinery. How do I put that? I think it was like an old, number one was like this was years ago, an old Miata stripped out. Like that's really, really cool. Let's see here. Let's see what you guys are saying. Anthony over on YouTube comes in with the classic Anthony wit. I'll take a Nissan Leaf Gen 1, good to be specific, around Chuckwalla. I think at the end of the day, whatever car you end up choosing, if you're anything like me or a lot of people or people who are into cars or into racing, there's that competitive element of no matter what you're driving, getting the absolute most out of it, shaving those tenths of seconds again, or what have you. So, well, I'm assuming that was in jest. Literally, like, because how much fun do we have at go-karting when you're literally just racing yourself to do better laps? Some of the most fun I've ever had was in an electric go-kart with the boys trying to shave lap time. So the car matters. It obviously matters. But I think the track matters more, and the type of person you are. Again, if you're ridiculously competitive like I am, doing better or chasing that PR, lap time, just becomes all consuming, regardless of what the car itself actually is. Let's see here. Steve goes, to be honest, I'd get my hands on a Dale Earnhardt NASCAR and punch it at Daytona. I get the appeal of that. I get Greg's appeal of taking like an old mid-90s Penske, Mercedes, Indy car. And just the sheer visceral experience of the speed. But I don't know. For me, it's about chasing that ultimate lap time. And while obviously there's tremendous skill and nuance into finding speed at an oval, knowing my personality, I feel like I'd get bored with it. I feel like Steve, well, like if we throw you in a 2001 GT1 spec C5R Corvette, you know, with the 3 on the side that Dale Earnhardt did in fact drive to a second place in class in 2001, I think 3rd or 4th overall. I don't know. I mean, again, I get that it's like you're driving the legend, right? Like you're driving, like, and that may or may not have more, like, maybe more important to you, which is fine. You know, it's not my fantasy; it's yours. So own it. Anthony goes, gobbles Haas. I missed something. Moving on. Sean goes, I would want a peak insane shit box. Shocking. But done well, so it would take like an 80s Ford Thunderbird, wide body, lightened as much as possible while still having an interior. But with the 15 RPM Cosworth Isuzu V6 from the Opel Calibra touring car, I'm guessing you meant 15,000 RPM. That would be my track car for the end of time. Interesting. Why a Thunderbird? Why that Fox body? Just curious. Because, like, I think did we talk about it last week? Where I said the body... Yeah, we talked about it last week. Where I said the Fox body style that is kind of growing on me that I think I like the most right now is the Capri body style. So, you know, no wrong answers. I'm just curious. Let's see here. Sean will go track wise. I'd be torn between Watkins Glen and Indy. That's interesting. The amount of, like, I get the history of Indy. And I get that because of its layout, it's more nuanced than, say, a Daytona or a, insert other oval here. That's interesting. Why we ask these questions? Because if we all agreed on one thing, it'd be pretty damn boring. Tony goes on the Leaf around Chuckwalla. Poor little guy would only make it 1 or 2 laps. Yeah, probably. Though that being said, I think I just saw that Chuckwalla is up for sale again. Again, I say as if it was up for sale recently. I don't know that for certain. But it is up for sale. It's full stop. And then Sean goes, I like the look of the 80s. Doesn't get any more specific. He just goes, I like the look of the 80s. I'm here for it. You should check your DMs, Sean. I sent you something that I'm pretty sure you'd be right on board with. And just to fill Gregson in, I'll go with it. Sort of me right now version. The ultimate version of my dream S550 Mustang. So start with a Mach 1, put the 343 cubic inch Coyote in it, put a rear mounted transmission like the manual we were talking about earlier, all the suspension, make it crazy lightweight while still somewhat a street car. Well, I was making it as lightweight as humanly possible while still being a street car. And yes, I would be, I would have the 4-letter, I wouldn't mind the 4-letter word to Anthony, which is road noise, just because I know that the lightweight is doing things for me around Bathurst. And then I was torn between the Viper race car that we talked about earlier, D-restricted.
Yeah.
and the C6 version of the GT1 car with the 427 and everything, the GT1 or GTS car. Again, de-restricted around the Nurburgring. Simply put, because like I was saying, this like the ovals for the sensation, I get.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to go fast.
I
But
just want to go fast.
But for me, it's all about the nuance of chasing that time.
Right.
Of being a 10th here, a 1,000th here, this, that. And no place other than, like, you know, Bathurst is very nuanced in the Nürburgring. I mean, how many corners does it have? Like, a lifetime trying to figure it out.
Right.
So those were my two.
Yeah. I mean,
which are fairly on brand for me.
Yeah, as you say, they're not bad calls. I don't think either of us really had a bad call there.
No, I mean, you absolutely had good calls, wrong, but good calls. I'm also kind of shocked that like a Volvo didn't play into the equation at all for you.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. The S40 that Ricard Rydell drove at Bathurst, that's why I like struggled in the beginning. I'm like, do I want to use that track?
Or the BTC 850 wagon.
Well, yes, but that's not the one that like made me fall in love with like Volvo as a race car.
Right. Okay.
Like that one was that I learned about after the fact and then went back and rewatched those things.
Someone's like restoring one of those old touring cars, the ones you're talking about, the S40 with the 5-cylinder and stuff.
Yeah.
I just saw that in my feed not too long ago.
So it's so cool. But like that and that car at Bathurst is what made me fall in love with like Volvo as a race. As like a race car, but also just like with Bathurst in general. So I'm like, do I want to use that one?
And like, and then lastly, Tony meant like again in jest, he said a Nissan Leaf around Chuckwalla, and then it got me to the point of like, for me at least, like yes, I want the car to be something I like, I enjoy, that it's gonna tick the boxes, right? Like. The first form of motorsport that I ever really fell in love with was sports car / Trans Am.
Yeah.
So the idea of a Mustang, and obviously I'm a fan of Mustangs. Like we don't need to cover that. It's not exactly wah 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 breaking news, you know, or what have you. But on the flip side, the way I am, the whole notion of trying to get every second, every tenth, every whatever out of a car at a given track. You could almost throw, like it could almost be like any car. And, right? Like we could go out there. And I know Sean said it or not Sean, but Steve said it in jest. But if you gave us both identical, like I'm talking again, mythical Fantasyland here, identical Cobalt SS's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the power's identical, the level of grip identical, everything.
Spec racing.
Not beyond spec racing. Like there is no variance.
You know, right.
You know, there is no.
Greg
leaned on the hood a little bit, so it's got a little bit more of a sleeker. You know, like they are literally down to the molecule identical.
Mm-hmm.
We would have fun for decades trying to beat one another.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Like there's that. Like so like I don't want to say the car doesn't matter, but like it doesn't have to be a dream car scenario for me in the sense of trying to get lap time out of it. And then lastly, right before you came back, I was going to go with my wild card.
Yeah. Wild card.
So my wild card is a full-on, full-spec, pissed-off trophy truck.
Oh, yes.
Baja.
So I was going back and forth in my brain. I was like, ooh, do I do like a WRC thing here? Because that's the fun as shit.
That's another thing. Like you could sit here and like, another thing for me, it's like it'd be really cool to drive like again, my favorite, like get a 22B rally spec and do like the Monte Carlo rally with it. Or the what is it? I'm gonna blank on it's a tarmac rally stage, but like even like the or like a dirt stage, like all that stuff. And fun fact, WRC is looking into potentially having a United States round in like Tennessee or Kentucky in
I saw
2027.
that. Yeah, let's go.
Like that would be pretty fucking epic. Like
That would
I'd
be awesome.
I'd want to go, but like the biggest downside to rally isn't the sport itself, because let's face it, I'm shocked any of those little bastards can fit in the car with the sheer girth of their manhood.
Accurate.
Right? But like even if you go and you spectate it, you're getting one section of one part of like literally getting a snapshot for the day. Which again, if you go to the right spot, is really, really fucking cool. But like so it suffers with like TV coverage, right? Like it's just hard to cover. It's hard to fulfill that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the ADD in me, right? Like that. It's
No,
like
you're right though. Like it's hard to watch in person because you don't get you get like a split second of it and then it's done. And it's cool for that split second and you're like, "Oh, amazing." That's it. Like at least at like, race tracks, you can like you get laps of this, You get laps and laps and laps and hours of entertainment. Like with WRC, it's like you're going for the experience only. And
right, and there's something to that. Like I'm not saying I wouldn't go because it's like, oh,
sure.
I've only so like,
but it's
right?
not the same.
Right. No, like I thought that would be like kind of cool. Like loose surface driving is like ridiculously fun, but again, like I grew up a sports car kid. I grew up an IndyCar kid. Like Trans Am, like I mentioned, and everything. Yeah, Sean, if it were to happen, we'll pick you up.
Yes.
At any rate, but yeah.
Yeah. Good topic. It definitely stumped me in the first bit.
Yeah, that was one of those ones that literally just in the moment. Like,
but sometimes those are the best questions.
And like the best parts are like make it highly restrictive. It's like literally sitting Greg down. Pick your favorite child.
Well, I'm gonna sit here for at least another 70 years.
Yeah, I'm just picturing like you have the Top Gear lap board in your house, but it's just your two kids, and it's literally just like like on First Take where they do like Stephen's A list.
Yep.
And he just ranks the top 5 things, and just like every morning before the kids wake up, you either leave it or you change it and don't tell them, and they run down, and it's like yay or oh.
I have ranked you today. Enjoy.
I was like, oh man, that's a whole new world of parenting right there.
You pissed me off when you woke up. You are second child today.
Remember when you said Dad's car was slow? Well, congratulations, you dropped in the power rankings. You're now behind the neighbor kid. And you're walking to school.
Oh God. Brutal.
Anyway, we do have one more topic that is of interest. We've kind of brushed by it inadvertently on one of them. But I'm going to re-beverage, so give me 47 seconds.
Ooh, 47. That's very specific. Yes, while Chad re-beverages, I'll just tee it up ever so slightly, but it's not going to be talking about the actual topic. But like I said, we talked about we were going to have 2 truck topics. The first one was obviously the Nissan, Nissan Frontier and how they torture test it. But this one is also a truck, but it is arguably not a truck in traditional truck sense, and then that'll make sense in just a second. But good Chad, did you know that Ram makes a compact truck?
Well, yes, because you sent me the link. But
but before that,
I was no, and I thought it was.
Yeah, me neither. Actually, I had no idea.
I didn't even look at it. All I know is that it's the Rampage.
Yes.
And all I'm thinking with Rampage is the Archer episode where he's like,
Yes. Rampage.
yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so Ram makes a compact truck called the Rampage.
Let me guess, it's sold in Australia.
No, it is not.
Huh.
I mean, it might be. I haven't dug that deep into it, but it's been super successful in markets like Brazil and Argentina, right? So a lot of South America stuff, where
This is Brazil.
Yes, but that's where like a lot of these compact trucks really like thrive. You know, they have big markets down there for them. But because of what's been going on with the Ford Maverick, we know that Toyota is coming out with another compact truck. We have the Hyundai Santa Cruz, which is a compact like truck, and they're all sort of unibody, which is where it's like, is it really a truck sort of question? But it's got a cabin, it's got a bed, truck. So unibody or body on frame, either way, it is truck in truck terms. So for the sake of calling it such, it is a truck. And there has been rumors that they may bring this to the US because of how good the Ford Maverick has done. They had sort of asked him in interviews about, and by him I mean Ram CEO Tim Kuniskis, who we've talked about a lot recently because of what's been going on with Dodge, bringing back the V8s, the Ram TRX coming back. And he basically said that the company really does want to bring it to the US. But that's not really.
I was waiting for that. Oh, Greg is now full gone. Hold on 1 second. Anywho, while we wait for Greg to make his, we'll just call it, triumphant return. Look, there's no denying the fact, like Greg said, that the sort of compact, sort of mini truck, whatever you want to call it, market in the United States has been booming. You know, the popularity of the Maverick and to a lesser extent the Santa Cruz shows that there is an appetite for it.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I'm back. Hi.
Yes.
There were multiple Chads again happening.
God damn it, Greg. Why is this? Oh, I have to click here. At any rate, there's obviously interest for those so-called mini trucks here in the States. The what you call it? The thing is, and as the article would go on to say, is that while there is demand for it, this is sort of a side quest for Ram, in the fact that they've already started working on and developing the next generation Dakota. That's in the works. There's a plan in place to roll it out at an auto show or whatever, a private event, whatever you want to call it. There's something in place for a launch date, for production. Like, it's all there. And they've obviously put time and energy into the Dakota. So, having this, the idea of, well, we already make this compact truck. Let's just see if we can make it legal for the United States and then start importing it or making it here, whatever. There's a thought to that it's maybe it would hurt Dakota sales. Greg, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you for now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, my internet's deciding to not cooperate apparently. But yeah, I that's actually a point I was going to make, and perfect topic to bring up. The Dakota has already been confirmed, and that is definitely coming back. But that's a midsize. Is that going to cannibalize? If they do bring this in, is that going to cannibalize Dakota sales in the future? Probably. And if they have something that's working in another market and they're bringing something back to the U.S. market, don't rush it. You know, I mean, you could definitely bring both back, but how good are each of them going to do? I think that they're going to do baby steps with this. I think they're going to see the Dakota first, see how it does, and if it does well, then I think they're going to bring the Rampage in.
Right, because I mean, we saw it with the Ranger. You know, the Maverick cannibalized sales there, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I think if this was a I think if this was a boom market, oh my gosh, I think if this was a boom market, there's a case to have both. I think if there was a boom market, we would be getting to a point where you could make a case for it, right? Because the average cost of cars right now is so expensive. Uh, it's diluting your offerings may not be the best idea, right? So if you're not selling a ton of stuff, does it make sense to bring back, say, or bring in the Rampage, or say, take a moment, look at it, redesign it slightly, and bring it back as sort of a more capable, I don't know if you'd call it where it would fit in as far as an SUV is concerned, but to bring it back that way, if sales are going well, pivot and say, okay, we've made the truck, go back to the truck version. Um, at any rate, sorry. Let's see here. Let me just see what you guys are. Gregson has been raptured. Certainly would appear that way. Let me just do this. Hold on. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what goes on. Like there's something weird happens in and around the hour to hour and a half mark with the conference calling feature within the streaming software. Let's see here. Anthony goes, it would have to be inexpensive. Put it to you this way. The Maverick has sort of a version of this, but imagine if Dodge came back with the Rampage and applied the Slate model to it. Meaning, here's your bare bones Rampage. It has an engine, it has climate control, it has everything required of it to be what it is. From a safety perspective, from a safety perspective, a minimum creature comfort, so obviously AC, heat, a radio, etc. And you allow people to take ownership of the fact that they can customize it. So they put the whatever interior they want, whatever this, have that sort of thing. Because we've said it multiple times. If Slate works, changes the game in car sales. Same thing Stellantis is hurting sales wise. Yeah, they're bringing back the V8. Yeah, that's helping. But it's not the be all end all for them, all the mistakes that they have made leading up to this point. So making it dirt cheap and modular would make a shit ton of sense. Sean goes, I feel strange with my space internet zip tied to a stick stuck in the ground being more reliable than cable fiber, Greg. Chew out your ISP. I'm not 100% sure if it's an ISP thing. It just happens too consistently. I don't know if there's a... what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know if there's a timer baked into the conference calling software to where at like an hour or somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, it's like, are you still here? I don't know. something I have to dig into and look into for the future because it's happening too consistently in that sense. Sean goes, a compact truck needs to be compact. I mean, the current gen Ford Ranger is the size of an F-150 from like 6 years ago. They would need a single cab option with an 8-foot put. No, they wouldn't. That's the Dakota. The Maverick Santa Cruz success is the fact that it's not the 8-foot, it's not the piece of plywood or piece of sheetrock or what have you. It does all of the truck things people want trucks to do. Again, we're not getting into the minutia of it being body on frame versus unibody, all that. It does enough. So it has a bed big enough to fit 99% of the things that you would go and get from the local from your Home Depot run. It has enough space in the back to where you could put an four-wheeler in it, I think. You know, it tows enough to where you could have a John boat behind it. You know, where you could tow a trailer with an ATV or two behind it or what have you. And believe it or not, if your goal is to have an 8-foot bed and have an affordable truck, the full-size trucks are exactly that. If you go and you look at what a Ram Tradesman, I think is their lowest trim model, the F-150, you know, the base version of the F-150, the base version of the Silverado, they're, all things considered, ridiculously cheap to end up with a brand new vehicle. They're pretty bare bones, but it's a brand new, quote unquote, 0 mileage vehicle. What's the word I'm looking for here? The sort of this compact truck and mini truck segment is one of those things where hopefully Greg has returned for good now.
Hello. Hopefully.
So to catch Greg up, we are talking about the pricing of this thing, the buyer, the overwhelming majority of like who's going to actually buy this thing, and it's not like your full-on truck stuff people. You know, it's people who need. It's like you go to Home Depot, you get like 6 bags of mulch, throw it in the bed, come back. You
100%.
know, you go buy a snowblower, even though I got to imagine snow blowing your driveway would be terrifying.
I've done it many times over the last week. Not fun.
I think honestly, what we need to get, here's an idea. We hook up some sort of winch system and pulleys to where it slowly just pulls up. So as it pulls up, and it goes down, it moves over the width of the snowblower. Well, it's not the width of the snowblower.
Yes.
Because I
like that.
One of these days, we have to figure out a way. Like, you know the pictures of people like standing on the banking at Daytona or Talladega? Mm-hmm. We have to get a picture of that on your driveway.
Yes. I've also had the idea of getting RC cars and making a snowy Bathurst. You have the up and down elevation change.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading Sean's comment.
That's okay. You looked frozen. I'm like, oh no, not again.
Sorry.
I was like, shit. Well, I guess I'm tapping out for the night. But yeah, it's not a fun driveway.
No, so back to that. Like,
yeah.
Let's see here. Anthony goes, facts. If they can't come close to competing with these K-truck, or I pulled a fucking U, K-trucks. God damn it! Ever since that video I edited for you where you mispronounced K-trucks. My brain is now in that infinite loop of, I'm going to say it this way because the other way is wrong. And I'm wrong. I blame you. May God have mercy on your soul.
I think it has to do with the way it's typed out in English is key, but it's pronounced K. So it's pronounced wrong.
Well,
correctly.
You can't
it's because it's not phonetically correct.
Right. I mean, you can't sit here and say, excuse me, Mr. Japanese man, you're pronouncing your own language wrong.
Right, exactly.
Although, to
Because
be
in
fair,
English,
that is like one of the most American things you can do. It's like, no, in fact, you're wrong.
yeah, pretty
We
much.
introduced you to two new sons several decades ago that prove our point. Oh my gosh. I just thought of the. Anyway, we're not going to go there. But Sean goes, yeah, but all the full-size trucks now are aircraft carriers. I don't want to deal with fitting that behemoth into a parking spot. They're way easier to park than you think. Especially because pretty much all of them have backup cameras now. Like ridiculously easy to park compared to a few years ago.
Yeah.
If that was the case, I'd just get a short cab over box truck that has the same footprint off the ground. No, because you get the truck because it gives you all the convenience of a car, for lack of a better way of putting it, and the capability of a truck. If you just buy a box truck, you're forever on a cab over box truck, which good luck getting that serviced at a price that's reasonable.
Yeah.
And then you have cab over box truck amenities, which are to say, nothing.
It's like seat and wheel. Those are your amenities.
It is equipped literally worse than a Turkish prison. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You want a smaller vehicle that can do whatever, right? Like the whole notion, the whole thing is everybody like I said before, everybody wants to carry that piece of that sheetrock or that plywood in the bed of their truck. That's sort of the gold standard. But like I said, like full size trucks are so freaking cheap. Like comparatively speaking. Like you go and you find the entry level version of an F-150 Ram, whatever, and compare it to the average purchase price of a brand new car, it's pretty freaking staggering.
Yeah.
You know, like, and not for nothing, like bringing this back to the actual topic that we were actually talking about, this Rampage, the success of the Maverick is not it's not necessarily what it can do. Like I said, it has enough towing capability to tow a fishing boat, not a big one. Like I said, a little John boat or even a bass boat.
Mm-hmm.
It has enough payload to carry your weekly run to Home Depot, especially if you're a DIY sort of person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it drives like a car, or it drives like a crossover more specifically because unibody construction.
Mm-hmm.
And just based on vehicle sales, it's going to drive more like something they're familiar with.
Correct.
You know, and that's what I shouldn't say 99, but that's what an overwhelming majority of people who buy pickup trucks use them for. They like to be sitting up a little bit higher. They like the capability of, four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive or whatever you want to call it. And they like the idea of being able to maybe tow something or throw stuff in the back. I know plenty of people who don't tow shit with their trucks, but they do like the idea of being able to throw mulch, 2x4s, plants. The wife wants to put all the plants up for pick a day in the spring or summer. Like you're redoing the sidewalk so it can all that stuff that you're throwing in the back that isn't technically on the inside of your car, so you don't care if it gets a little dirty.
Right.
Even if it does, you just hose that bitch off.
Yeah.
That's what most people buy trucks for, and that's why like the Maverick is so successful. Is it does literally all of that, and again, it's smaller, does better on gas. To Sean's point, it is easier to park, but like I said, I drove. One of the things that stood out to me the absolute most was when I was driving that 2019 Ram 1500 Limited. The backup camera, phenomenal. The 360 camera was light years. It is still ridiculously good today, let alone 6-7 years ago.
Right.
Between those two, and between the predictive sort of where you have the steering wheel and it sort of shows you where the truck is going to go, they are stupendously easy to park. Like, I would argue that I could put someone in that truck and have them back into a parking spot easier than, say, pick a car without a backup camera.
Right. Anything pre 2018.
You know, like any of the like I could. Well, I shouldn't say any of Sean's vehicles because you do need a small manual to operate some of them. It's not a knock. It's one of the quirks that makes us love you, Sean.
It's just facts for some of them.
You know, so, and again, like it comes back, like we could go on this whole different thing if you want to sit here and talk about full size pickup trucks and their sheer size and why they're bigger and all this other stuff and how to actually get them to come back to earth and be smaller. You know, but then we're drifting into like the political range and the laws and all this other sort of stuff. I don't want to go there. So, what I will say is we know Toyota's working on a mini truck, yes?
Yeah, they are working on a compact. Yep.
We know Ram has this Rampage option. Honestly, and I said this while you were, having your technological difficulties.
Yep.
I think if this was 10, 15 years ago, car market's really strong, really good, you could have that breadth of that wide range of models. You could have, your compact, mid-size, full-size truck.
Yeah.
In today's world, especially if you're Ram and you're only full-size right now, the Dakota is coming. That you've invested a shit ton of money into bringing back, that you're going to want to be a success.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that the Rampage is already a success, even though it hasn't touched American soil.
Right, because it exists for one, and two, it's selling in other markets.
So to try and make the success of that greater at the cost of the Dakota doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Again, especially in the market we live in now, where the average price of a car or truck or whatever is so ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
To where, do I want to see more mini trucks? Yes. Do I think they're really cool and what you can do to them from a modding perspective? Yes. Do I think the Maverick Tremor is one of the coolest sort of newish things? Meaning, like, it's unlike anything we've seen in a long time, and it's just cool. And it's not the fastest thing. It's not the most powerful. It's not going to set any lap records. It's not going to set the quarter mile ablaze. It's just cool. So I'd be interested to see, because we know, and we talked about it earlier, I would argue that it's easier to get into the compact truck space than the mid-size truck space.
I would agree.
Because the Dakota, while it's a name, while it's recognition, it'll have buzz. You'll probably, Ram loyalists are a ferociously loyal bunch. Like, I would argue more so than any other brand. But it's going up against the Colorado Canyon Twins from GM, the Ranger, the Tacoma, the Frontier. Whereas the Rampage would be going up against right now pretty much the Maverick. Yes, the Santa Cruz exists, but I don't think people will cross-shop the Maverick and the Santa Cruz.
No, they don't.
I think people who get the Santa Cruz have a certain aesthetic vibe that they like.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're just talking like a compact truck that looks like a truck, even though it's unibody, like
the Maverick,
it's the Maverick.
Yeah.
So in theory,
the Rampage would do the same
there's less competition there. So
correct.
Would be theoretically easier. Whether it actually is or isn't, again, there's a reason why I do this show and I don't work for a major OEM. And we're just going to say that's the reason and not a whole list of others. So lastly, let's touch on chat before we get Greg's dad advice for the... let's see here. Sean goes, my name isn't phonetically correct either. It's also the Irish, so... that was S-E-A-N... Sean is a derivation of John, in case anyone was wondering. And And that's about as far as I'm going to touch on that because I'm just not going to have my brain go there. Anthony goes, plenty of minivans can carry a piece of sheet material. I mean, yes.
Yeah, true.
Not entirely all that convenient when you consider removing and replacing seats or hiding the seats away or whatever clever tricks. And there's not exactly a ton of minivans out there anymore either. Anthony goes, if you're feeling frisky, hunt down a manual Odyssey. I'm not, so I won't. You all right over there, buddy?
Yeah, I just dropped my phone. I was like, oh, manual Odyssey. Oh, God, let me look for those.
Literal smoke coming out of Greg's thumbs as he searches for one. Sean goes, I have a tendency to pick up items that are of unusual shape or length that a 5.5 or 6 foot bed would be an issue. Again, if I'm let's just say Ram CEO, and I have these 3 variations, I'm going to sit here and tell you, well, the Dakota or the Rampage isn't for you. However, you can get this Ram Tradesman that'll allow you to carry all of that. Again, you may not like the size, but again, unfortunately, nobody really caters to there's not that small segment of population like you that had, let's just, in years past, you used to have a segment of the population like you who needed, I don't want to say weird, but an odd combination of things in a car. Insert old Subaru, right?
Yeah.
People sort of fit into, and Subaru thrived filling that niche.
Right.
Now they're just basically an all-wheel drive Toyota. I know they're not actually that, but boring is the word I'm going for. When Toyota is no longer boring. Go figure.
Right.
I guess that might have been one hell of a board meeting at Fuji Heavy Industries.
So we're going to flip-flop the boring. What do you think about that?
Nobody's going to see it coming.
Yeah.
Sean, the other day my brother and I collected 3 60-inch projector TVs to take the Fresnel lenses out for... Yeah, that's a classic Sean thing. Anthony goes, Jessica parked a long bed mega cab dually her first time ever driving one. She nailed it. Got yourself a winner there, Anthony. Sean again, plot twist. Just one of these lenses will instantly ignite, turn it into glass. Beautiful mind, my friend. Anthony goes, the Santa Cruz is a lifestyle pickup. To be fair, though, the majority of pickup truck buyers, it is a lifestyle purchase.
Correct.
Look, I get it, but the Santa Cruz to me is just it's like a futurist saying, what is a pickup truck going to look like in the year 2050? And it's this. And then or if you ask someone in the 60s, what's a pickup truck going to look like in 2020?
Yeah.
60 years from now. Turns out they look more or less the same.
Yeah. Pretty much, by and large.
Sean wants a mini truck with an 8-foot bed, so he needs an old S10. And Sean, of course, I like the old S10 or the old GMC S15. I mean, again, I'll say this, and I'll close with this. And I was talking to a buddy of mine about this. In terms of cars, trucks, whatever, there is literally a seat for every ass. You just got to go get it. You like X, Y, and Z? There's a car out there that can do it. You need all that at a certain price? There's a car that'll do that 80%, which is what you're just going to have to learn to live with, right? All that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Sean goes, I would probably put an SR20 into a GMC S15. Why? This could be a whole nother episode in and of itself. But of all the JDM 4-cylinder options,
an SR20?
SR20s are objectively good engines. You
Yes.
could get about 300 horsepower out of the right one. There's so many different variations: red top, black top, green top, shit top. I have no fucking idea. There's just so many different variations of them. Not unlike an LS, but um, you know, but like if I was to get a JDM 4-cylinder with boost, pick a Toyota 4-cylinder from the late 90s, early 2000s. Pick a Honda B series, K series, or whatever, and add your own boost. Again, you're into what you're into, and if that's what you want, go for it. I'm kind of shocked that you're not already looking at an S15 GMC and thinking about putting a red block in it.
Which would make more sense because that's very much a tractor work engine for a work truck.
And then Sean goes, the Sylvia S15 had an SR20. So did the S14 and S13, if we're being pedantic. And
Chad is always pedantic.
Well, just to me, to single out the one version of the Sylvia, the generation. Well, technically, we didn't get any SR20 variation of the Sylvias, but we got an S13 chassis, we got an S14 chassis, and 240 guys.
Yeah.
To single out the one that we didn't get as the host of the engine.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
Whatever neuron that was just like not letting that slide. And he would go, but he chose S15 because of the naming. S15. I mean,
yes. Yeah, I get the tie-in.
I mean, you could take the 5 off and put a Sharpie mark midway through the 1 and have an SI and put a Honda engine in it. Job done.
Actually, do that instead. That's more interesting.
But again, do your life. You only got one of them. Live it how you want to.
That's right.
As deranged as it might be. No, I'm kidding.
which is good dad advice. Actually.
Exactly. However, you're not getting off that easy. Greg.
Shit.
Send us out with your dad advice of the week.
All right. So my dad advice of the week is we all sort of teach each other stuff, right? And when we're teaching each other stuff, whether you're doing it with friends or as a dad, right? You want to teach things that are applicable to your life. So don't just teach knowledge, but teach life skills, teach experiences, teach how to navigate those things. Don't just say 1 + 2 = 3. That's a good skill to have. But, how does that apply to your life? When you're teaching your kid, to budget for things, why do you do that? So when you're doing teaching, and we all do it, just make sure that you're teaching people or anyone how it's going to relate back to their lives and make it useful for them, not just useful for you to do the teaching. Sorry, I stopped right as you were about to take a drink.
No, I'm going in and out. I don't know why I chose this exact moment and not 5 minutes from now to read a DM we got, but I got sidetracked.
Nice. Nice.
At any rate, sound advice as always, Gregson. I'm glad that you're actually getting prepared for these.
I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to heed my own advice and prepare better for this.
But that's going to be a wrap for this one, guys. Thank you again to everyone who's stopped in, viewed, liked, shared, commented. I mean, to everyone who's watching or whatever, the comments are the most fun part about this.
100%.
The more you guys comment, I don't care. And I know sometimes I give people like Sean a hard time. It's only because Sean is actually a friend of mine and, or what have you. And 99% of the time I'm thinking, that's a terrible idea. But I'd also like to see it in reality.
Yeah.
So it's all that, but it's the fun that makes the show. Don't get me wrong. I love talking to Greg every week. Given his standing in life between job and, procreating. We don't get to see each other all that often.
Right.
So, definitely a lot of fun. We'll be back next week.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll get to the grindstone and get some graphics made. If not, obviously not a big deal. But for this one, that's going to do it. Thank you so much to everyone.